Good morning. Good morning.
Damn it all. This war turns brother against brother even outside of Skyrim. I knew my men. They were loyal. They were honorable. Thank you for telling me this, but please, don't tell anyone else. I'm going to have to bring this to the attention of my superiors.
Farewell.
Did you find him? My daddy died? What happened?
Coming down with hell joint.
Oh, Grandpa always said that a good soldier does what they do for the Empire. He was keeping us safe. When I grow up, I want to keep people safe too. I'm not old enough to join the Legion, but I can practice. Bye, stranger. And thank you. Thank you so much. I'm gonna tell my mother. You might want to talk to her. She might reward you for all you've done.
Get a slice of Skyrim right here in Cyrodiil.
Even if I could make one, who would this be for? It couldn't possibly be your boss, now would it?
Emerald!
Oh, Edvia, your infatuation with him is clear to everyone. But is this really how you want to win his heart?
I'm Galarin, Synod Hopeful. If you have any cuts or bruises, I'd be happy to practice my restoration on you.
Don't be discouraged. You just have to try intoxicating him another way, without potions. Try winning his heart. Heal wounds, restore willpower, regain your energy. Potions for sale here. What can I get you? I see. I never thought Harran would join the Stormcloaks, but this journal... He was a soldier, so I always knew the worst could happen. But this... Yes, I can see he believed that. I just wish he would have given a thought to his family before standing against the Thalmor. I'll do the only thing I can do. Grieve with my family and try to move on. Despite this, despite what happened, we owe you our thanks. If not for you, we would never have known his fate. Please take this. It used to belong to him, to Harran. I don't want it anymore. You might get some use out of it, at least.
You're the one who helped return the Count's artifacts, aren't you? Captain Adius was looking for you. Might want to go see what he wants.
Hey, nice to see you around. Listen, there's a situation, and there are a few people I can trust with this. So maybe you'll help me with this? That's great news. As I said, there's a situation. Don't go around publicizing this, but a new threat's cropped up, far to the east of Bruma. Not bandits, not hedge wizards. Talos worshippers. Believe me, I don't have any bones to pick with Talos worshippers. People can worship whoever they want to worship, as far as I'm concerned. But this has me spooked. I don't want Armion and his damned justiciars to arrest them and send them off to Blue River Prison. Or worse. And I'm tied up in Bruma dealing with other matters. I hate to ask, but would you help me with this? I'm not asking you to kill them, or arrest them, or hand them over to the Thalmor. I don't have anything against Talos worship. I'm asking you to convince them to lie low. That's all. I want to spare them the wrath of the Thalmor, and spare Bruma's people the consequences. My priority is protecting the citizens of Bruma. My job is to uphold the law. Most of the time those goals align, but when they don't, well, I know where my true loyalties lie, and they don't lie with paper or politics. Well, it's only spoken of in rumors and whispers, but to go by the rumors, it's the Thalmor prison camp here in Cyrodiil. It's where they send those they find problematic. Talos worshippers, dissidents, that sort of thing. You don't know? You certainly weren't kidding when you said you were out of the loop. Well, Talos was formerly the 9th Divine. He was originally a man, Tiber Septim, before ascending to godhood. He was widely worshipped alongside the other 8 Divines before the White Gold concorded with the Dominion. Now it's illegal to worship him, and the Thalmor deal with heretics very seriously. First, let me be clear. I'm not asking you to kill them, and I'm not asking you to hand them over to the Thalmor. I hate them as much as any Imperial. No, I'm asking you to convince them to lie low. I don't care if they keep worshipping Talos, they just need to do it privately. I don't want the Thalmor making an example out of them, and I don't want them to use this as an excuse to step up their presence in Bruma. And that's likely. Given their location near a county board of the Shaden Hall nobility might get involved. Political disaster waiting to happen. So just go and speak with them, like I said. They're far to the east of Bruma near County Shaden Hall. Here, I'll mark it on your map just in case. Heard there were beasties around. Be careful, traveler. I'm not asking you to kill them or arrest them. I'm I'm asking you to convince them to lie low. That's all. I want to spare them the wrath of the Thalmor, and spare Bruma's people the consequences.
How can I help you?
What is it?
Can I help you? Good afternoon.
Hey, I've heard of you. The Traveling Master Smith, right? Can you forge me one of your legendary weapons? My arm would thank you.
Don't judge me too harshly. I wasn't always the decrepit old horker you see before you. In my youth, I was quite something. You bet I would. But I'm sorry if this comes across the wrong way, traveler, but well, I'm poor. I'm no good for jobs anymore, and people aren't going to pay you for just existing. So, tell you what, you give me a couple of septims, and I'll regale you with some stories. Sound like a fair trade, stranger? Thanks, stranger. Rare to see such a generous sort here in Bruma. It was a bright, sunny Turdas and Whiterun Hold. I was hanging around Dragon's Reach, hoping to meet a rich noble lady and strike up a conversation. What can I say? I was young and naive. Imagine my surprise when out of the keep, instead of a noblewoman, comes a beautiful battle maiden, covered head to toe in beautifully crafted steel. She carried a huge steel claymore on her back, and I have no doubt that she'd have wielded it just as well, if not better, than any of the city guard. Paralyzed by panic, I remained silent, dared not to say anything to her, even as she was breathing in my face. She chuckled, then asked me if I was up for a challenge. Said there were some bandits in a local cave, marked it on my map, and challenged me to clear it out. Blinded by my own lust, I accepted. She handed me that glistening greatsword she carried on her back. I wasn't trained with a weapon, but I was strong. I could hold it, unlike most. She said she was impressed by that. So I took the greatsword to the cave she had described. Well, it was actually a mine of sorts. Embershard, they called it. I headed inside. Down the slope, I could just see, through the gloom, the red glowing eyes of a Dunmer. I assumed he was a bandit, but I wanted to be sure. Foolish and young. That was me. So, like a damned fool, I called out to him. "What are you doing down here?" I asked. He said nothing, but I saw his eyes narrow with anger in the dark. Then they got larger and larger, and I heard footsteps. He was coming towards me. I was done for. Then, all of a sudden, I heard a clink. The Dunmer had stepped on a pressure plate. And just like that, a whole pile of boulders came crashing down from the rafters and crushed him under them. That was one bandit dealt with. His screams as he died, and the sound of the rocks falling, attracted the attention of the rest of the bandits in the mine. I heard who I can only assume was their leader shout, in his typically guttural orcish voice, Seems like we've got company, boys. Weapons out, eyes peeled. Let's go. I hid in the darkness, once again paralyzed by fear and doubt. Then an idea struck me. What if I made a trap of my own? I took the Battle Maiden's longsword and put it up in the rafters where the boulders were. I rearmed the pressure plate to the best of my abilities. Just as I was finished, the orc rounded the corner, as did a band of other brigands. One of them held a torch and waved it around to illuminate the whole entranceway. Soon enough, they saw me. That was it. My big moment. My life or my death. The orc saw the boulders on the ground. I can only assume he took it as a sign that the trap had already been triggered and was safe to stand on. And so he stood on the plate. That was his big mistake. The greatsword came careening down from the rafters with a force the likes of which I'd never seen before. By the blessings of Stendarr, it impaled him straight through the gut. He bled what looked like lakes full of blood, and no sooner had I blinked than he died. The rest of the bandits very close behind him tripped over his flailing feet as he fell. They went diving headfirst into the rocks that lay on the ground, and the blow on the head ended them too. It was then that the door opened behind me. My heart damn near stopped. The bandits wanted their retribution, I thought. My life's reached its end. But it was the Battle Maiden. She had realized I might have taken her joke seriously, and so she came to try to warn me before it was too late. She saw them all there, lying dead, including the orc who had the greatsword still sticking out of him. Her eyes widened in shock. Let's just say I was economical with the truth when explaining what happened during the encounter. It was then she told me she was one of the companions, an order of warriors based out of Whiterun. She said I had what it takes to be one of them, and so I joined up the next day. And that's the story of how a few happy accidents got me into a life of adventuring, I suppose. Funny the way the world works. Of course, for a small donation. Thanks, stranger. Rare to see such a generous soul. The companions had given me my first job, to slay a giant. Yes, to slay a giant. I had the same look on my face, too. They said they had no other jobs available at the time. When they gave me it, somehow I felt strangely kind of hopeful. I was on a high, you might say, from the events in Embershard. I was still afraid, but determined. That air of cockiness remained until I got near the giant's camp. Every step I took closer to the camp, the faster my heart raced. I couldn't do it, I finally thought to myself. Only 30 or so paces away from the camp. I had to turn back. But what would the companions think of me, doing that? Dishonor! I couldn't ruin this for myself. This opportunity to become a hero of legend. I had to do something. And so, I cheated. In a way. I had asked a band of traveling mercenaries to do the deed for me. I paid them with what gold I had scrounged off the bandits I'd killed in Embershard. They reluctantly agreed, after a lot of persuasion, and so they charged in. I heard every stomp, every smash of the giant's club, echoing, bouncing off of the mountains. My heart pounded. Had I sent some men to their doom? If they are victorious, am I now an honorless coward? After about 5 minutes, they returned to me, beaten, battered, bruised, broken. They'd killed the giant and gotten its distinctively fungal toe the companions demanded as proof. It was then they held out on me. They told me they wouldn't give me the toe, not after all that, not after such risk for such little reward. It was fortuitous, I suppose, that the giant's mammoth came charging out of nowhere and, with its huge tusks, killed all 3 men. Just like that. I grabbed the toe from the ground where it landed and ran. I ran all the way back to Jorrvaskr. I explained what happened, and the companions were aghast at my cowardice. It was then that the Harbinger came out of his quarters. He signaled to them all, and just like that, they stopped talking out of respect.
Of course, just a moment. Here you are. And if you don't mind me asking, is he getting any better?
Yes. In fact, the only thing that still hurts is his pride. I told him this sort of thing could happen when you get older. But no, the fool still won't go get the treatment himself.
He opened his mouth. and I dreaded what he was about to say. But he didn't say what I expected him to. Not at all. He told them I deserved another chance, that this act of deception proved my ingenuity. He also told me that, by my description, these mercenaries were actually a small party of bandits that the companions had been hired to kill. He gave me the bounty for both them and the giant. To this day, I don't think I deserved it, but he insisted, and so I remained a companion yet longer. This is where I went on a series of adventures as a companion, completing jobs as I got them. Nothing too exciting. The next story worth telling takes place many, many years later. Of course, for a small donation. Thanks, stranger. Rare to see such... I was a companion, but the pay wasn't so good. As I had learned, I wasn't a very good warrior, or a particularly brave one.
Alchemical wonders, all here.
So I ended up quitting, dropped my sword on the ground, and said enough was enough. They said farewell to me, and I decided I'd try my luck as far away from Jorrvaskr as I could think to go. Bravel. See if there was much work available. Little did I realize that those stories about Braville's criminal underworld weren't just fabrications or exaggerations. They were as real as Masser or Secunda. I got blackmailed into joining the criminal underworld of Braville. Helped a shady character who I never got the name of with some smuggling jobs. It wasn't nice or pleasant, but it paid better than my companion days. It was then that I saw coming into the city through the gate that battle maiden. She recognized me and was dismayed that I had been working for a man she'd come to clean out. Apparently, she was on a personal crusade against this kind of criminal filth. She was disappointed that I'd joined them. I explained my reasons and my regret, and she saw fit to take pity on me. Thanks Stendar for that. We became close friends, and I eventually proposed to her on a beautiful summer's sunset. And that's how she became my wife. Sadly, she passed a few years ago. Life's never been the same since. And that's the last of my interesting stories, I'm afraid. And certainly the most, soppy. You've been kind and generous enough to listen to an old man's tales, so I'm happy to tell you some stories again for free. Thanks, stranger. Rare to see such a generous sort here in Bruma.